Hey, I realize a lot of you are joining us from all over the country, and I am joining you from the little southeastern corner of Pennsylvania, outside the wonderful city of Philadelphia, in the little town called Bernathen, Pennsylvania, 12 miles northeast of Center City here. And today we're looking at another one of the prophecies around Advent. It's just kind of fun spinning some of this stuff around because it really gives a sense of sort of what God is doing, and I think gives us a sense of how we're supposed to read Scripture. It's not supposed to just be a then and there. Like these are all the events that happened thousands of years ago. It's not a history book. It's Scripture. It's something that's to really land on our heart, and it's stories we're supposed to read. But most importantly, these are stories we're to inhabit. We're to live into them. And part of this coming up on Christmas is this beautiful idea of prophecy, this idea that for thousands of years, in the old traditions, they'd been talking about Jesus eventually coming, the Messiah, God coming to earth, however you want to phrase that. And these prophecies are really beautiful. And it struck me this morning, how much these prophecies, like, part of it is something prophetic, and with that is this important reminder that these are all conversations about what God is doing. I want to say that again, what God is doing. That God is constantly doing these things, that these prophecies are constantly coming true, and they are part of our future. And they may not be realized in necessarily the ways we might imagine, or the ways we might even hope for at a superficial level, but they certainly do tend to come true. I see them come true all the time at the levels of the heart. So that's what we're going to look at today. And we're going to look at one of my favorite old prophecies, and it's one made famous by the statue in front of the United Nations, if you've ever seen it. And here's a prophecy of when God comes again, this is what will happen. This is from Isaiah 2, verse 4. He shall judge between the nations and shall arbitrate for many peoples. They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Boy, that's beautiful. That idea of that God's coming into the world. This is about beating swords into plows. And that's made famous again by a statue in front of the United Nations. And that, folks, like, we could look at that at a global level. And I think probably more important for us is to look at, like, where does that land on our heart? And one thing I'd like to share with you today that I was thinking about is how much our rehearsals, and I'm using that word very purposefully, how much our rehearsals get in the way. I have a list of hurts that I like to rehearse almost daily, and I do it compulsively. I do it without really thinking about it. If I'm not careful of my thoughts, there it goes. It's off to this perceived slight. Someone said something, someone did something, someone blah blah blah, and just keeps on spinning around. Now, again, some of the times those things are accurate. Sometimes people really did do those things, and some of the time they're just imaginary stuff in my head. And here's the challenge, folks, and this is something I wrote about in a blog this morning. Those rehearsals, this is really important. Those rehearsals can become more real than the person itself. Those rehearsals can become more real than the person itself. Our story becomes the reality, and we forget that it's just a story. That's it. And when we do that, folks, like those rehearsals can clearly, not that they're warlike, but boy, and I wouldn't even say, at least for me, it's not the aggressive nature of them. It's not that I rehearse these stories and I wish harm on other people. It's just, there's kind of, when I sit back and I look at it, it's kind of sad for me. Like, I can place people in boxes and rehearse those stories over and over again, and it makes it very hard for them to get out of those boxes, because I'm absolutely sure, that I have the inside scoop in terms of who they really are. And and that's crazy. I mean, that's crazy. And those kinds of rehearsals are not where we find freedom. They just aren't. They're not where we're going to find freedom. We're actually going to find freedom when we get rid of that stuff. And here's the good news to all that. And I think the good news coming to prophecies, like, prophecies are about, yeah, this is what God is doing, and so I think part of it, For me at least, it helps to remember, yeah, I just got to quiet that story. Like, that's really my job, is to quiet that story. And if I can quiet that story, what inevitably happens is a better story happens. If you think about a negative emotion, what are you with that emotion? And then the critical question, what are you without it? And what are you with those negative stories, those negative rehearsals? We rehash. What are you with that negative rehearsal? And what are you without it? And without it, you're probably free. Probably going out on a limb there. Probably free. Probably have a life filled with a lot more joy, a lot more happiness, a lot more time spent not on rehearsing stuff, but on really engaging in adventure. Engaging in new beginnings and new starts to the world that can help us to move forward. So folks, like that's just the thought for the day. Just really take a look this Christmas season. Are there stories that you are rehearsing over and over again? What are your favorites? What's your top 10 or your top 5? And maybe you can just say, okay, so for today, when that comes up, I'm going to acknowledge, yep, there it is. And I'm just going to let it pass on. I'm going to let it pass on. I'm going to let it move on through me. So there's an idea for the day, folks. So wishing you all the best thinking about that. And what we'll do now is we'll go through and do a little prayer, a little blessing, and we'll talk to people on Facebook Live, on New Church Live's Facebook page. So with that, folks, let's all get a big breath. All right, listen to the bell. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and bring you peace and bring you home. Amen. All right, friends. Let's give a little cheery hello. And what you can do is you can go on New Church Live's Facebook page. And if you go on to that page, you'll be able to leave a little comment down there. It just takes a little minute for it to load here. And then I have a special service announcement at the end of end of our little gathering here today. Oh, I got a lot of comments today. All right. So let's go through, take a look at these comments here. Patricia, great to see that heart this morning. Wishing you a very heartfelt day. Marcus, good morning to you, buddy. Marianne, we love our stories, don't we? And they're crazy. There a statistic I had was what was it? It was 80 some odd percent of the thoughts we have on any given day are the same thoughts we had the day before, 93% of which are negative. Kind of interesting though, right? Jen, good morning to you. Patty, good morning to you, my friend. Linda, yes, we need to be careful about our thoughts. Thoughts can make us sick. I think we can all do that rehearsal from time to time. Letting go of my story was the healthiest thing I ever did. That sounds like you're further along the path than I am. I still struggle with that all the time. Joy, great to see you joining us this morning. Marianne writes, we become prisoners in our own minds. So true. Teresa, yep, totally agree with that. Looking at my own stories and the hardest ones are the justified ones, right? Like there are some really hard stories and people do really bad things to other people. And how do we let go of that? There's a journey right there. Gene wishes everyone all the best from Maryland. And Linda says, have a great day, everyone. Patty, oh no, Patty. It is snowing and sleeting in Maryland this morning. Think about a lot of my stories. Yeah, it seems appropriate to be snowing and sleeting. So, yeah, folks. So wishing you all the best. I know we have a lot more comments there. I can see we got a bunch more that I can't read on my phone. So I'll be responding to those later. So, my little public service announcement is this, folks. Today is Giving Tuesday, and we deeply appreciate all your financial support for New Church Live. And if you want to make a donation to New Church Live today, we certainly warmly invite you to do that at www.newchurchlive.tv. You can do it right off of our homepage, www.newchurchlive.tv. And if you need that link, just let me know. And those things help to keep our congregation going. And we are a thriving congregation, vast majority online these days. So that's a little different world, but we sure do appreciate support on this Giving Tuesday. And with that, dear friends, have a great day. May you not rehearse your stories that are not serving you, and may you find a way to beat a few swords into plowshares this morning. Take care. Bye-bye.